Marc Maron Too Real is a Netflix original comedy special that was just released on Netflix in September 5th. It stars Marc Maron, who a lot of people probably know from his podcast and from acting. He was just in the Glow series, which was also released on Netflix, which was actually a pretty good series. And if you want to check out my review on that, there's a link in the description below. So Marc Maron is a pretty funny comedian. He is very cynical, very negative, but in a funny way, almost like a Louis C.K., but a little more toned down, or like a Louis Black, but way more toned down than Louis Black. That kind of comedy. So he starts out and he's talking about Trump, and he doesn't actually use the name Trump, but he talks about, like, we don't know what he's going to do next, how unreliable he is, how the Republicans and Democrats, neither one of them know what he's going to be doing, but they react differently. The Democrats are worried, the Republicans are excited, that kind of thing. He talks about the like what it would be like to be a friend with somebody who actually voted for Trump, and there were some funny little bits there that he went through, and the kind of conversations you would have with somebody when your ideals differ that much. He had a conversation about he would actually expect apologies once the world gets to that point where things are going crazy. He's expecting some apologies from the people who voted for Trump. So it was funny. Of course, it depends on your political leanings, whether you find that funny or not. But for the most part, I think you'd find it funny if you like that cynical type of humor. He talks about getting old. He's in his 50s, so there's a lot of humor about getting older. He's got some jokes about, like, exercise and how it turned into like a near-death experience. Talks about going to the doctor and how doctors don't really know anything. Even though the world's gotten more complicated, nobody can figure out how the human body really works. And the experience he had with his doctor was pretty funny. He also talks about, like, there's too many documentaries. Anybody with an iPhone can basically make one, and whether or not they're actually worth watching anymore because of the time he has left. So he doesn't like starting things new. When people recommend TV shows, he doesn't want to start them, things like that. He tried meditation. He has a funny little bit about how that went. He also talks about the Rolling Stones, where he talks about going to a Rolling Stones concert, which he actually didn't really want to go to because he thought it would be sad since they're so old. But he was actually had a good time, but the best time he had was in the parking lot getting out before everybody else. That was the most exciting part for him as far as the concert went. But it's a bit that is probably 5-10 minutes of the set, so it does fill out quite a bit, and it is pretty funny. Marc Maron also goes through his process, which was pretty funny. It's all just a bunch of post-it notes, which he reads off to the crowd, which was it was very interesting to hear. He has, like, some comments about his mom being inappropriate in her age, and emailing things, not being very good at emailing or texting, and the way she does it, even though she knows how, she doesn't do it right, that kind of stuff. And then he's got a whole bit about a hat and how he got one for a present, and you just have to be a certain kind of person to like a hat, and he goes through a whole bit about that, which was funny. And overall, it is just, he's a funny guy. He's cynical, for sure. Fairly, it's bleak, but not bleak, but in a funny way. That's how you would describe it. Bleak, but in a funny way. He points out the negative, but uses humor to make it funny. And he is pretty good. He's a veteran. He's been doing this for a while, so he handles the crowd well. There's no pauses. There's no blank stares. There's no waiting for laughter that didn't come. There's no reacting to something in the crowd. You don't even hear anything. There's no heckling. The pace is good. Like, there's no downtime. The jokes are coming. They're not too fast. They're not too slow. It's just very well paced and overall very funny. So as far as Netflix goes, I give this a thumbs up, using the Netflix system of thumbs up, thumbs down. And as far as a rating goes, for a Netflix original comedy special, I would give this a 7 out of 10. And the only reason it wouldn't be higher is because he is a very low-key, he just sits on a stool pretty much the whole time. There's not a lot of like laugh out loud moments. There's a lot of laughter, but not the big laughs that'll make you want to talk about that joke the next day at work. So but he is very funny and you should check him out. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe, or all of the above. Thank you and have a nice day.